G'day guys, thought I'd do a quick little video on a communication model. Now obviously with most communication going online at the moment, the communication model that we use is a disc profile. You can actually download the free disc profile on our website if you want to actually do the profile for yourself. But I'm going to explain the 4 different personalities that come around. Now this concept's been around for a couple of thousand years of the 4 quadrants of personalities, disc itself, and there's a few different variants of disc that have come out. The one that we use is one from a book called Personality Plus by Florence Littler. And you can download that, I'll put a link in below and you'll be able to download that off our website. Now, what the concept of disc is that there are 4 main personalities. Now you have people at the top who are active. Their whole thing is just keep moving, just keep going. They're very much active people, more likely to be extroverted. Down the bottom you have people who are more likely to be introverted, sit back, reflect, absorb information, think about it, make decisions a bit slower, happy to hear people out. Your active people will quite often talk over the top of you, they'll cut you off. They don't mean to, but that's just their personality. They're very much, their brain's thinking quite quickly. On this side, you have your task-orientated people. So they're very much about tasks. It's all about the things, the numbers, the graphs, the charts, the information that they can grab hold of and make decisions with. Whereas on this side, people make decisions much more on this side with people in mind. So what's the effect going to be on people? What's the effect going to be on others? How are people going to feel about this? What are people going to think about this? How are they actually going to execute this? Very much on the people side. Now, if you have too much task-orientated decision making, what can quite often happen is people make decisions based on numbers, charts, graphs, information that they have rather than the impact on people. And if you're too people-orientated, sometimes you might not make the right decision because you don't have enough tasks. So it's all about having balance. And this is why it is important to have each of the 4 personalities. We need all 4 of them. Sometimes they can annoy us if we are, of a different personality, different way of thinking. Sometimes that can annoy us or frustrate us. But we need every single one of you, people out there with every single personality. Now, the other thing is that every person is different. It's important just because you fit into one of these categories that you don't categorize yourself as that, because you are an accumulation of all of the experiences you've had, not just your personality. So if you want to have a look at the personality, we've actually got it on our website. I'll drop a link in below. Now, personality profiling is made up of these 4 quadrants, as I said earlier. So the D stands for dominant. The dominant personalities are very firm, fast thinkers. They're very quick thinkers. They make decisions quickly. They quite often get frustrated, most likely to have road rage. They get frustrated if people are not doing things quickly, and they think quite fast. They think very quickly and they make decisions very quickly. So something happens, they're great in crisis because they'll jump to action quite quickly and start to make things happen. However, some of their downsides are they're not always people orientated, so they sometimes forget to think about what the impact on people is going to be because they're too focused on their whole concept of get the task done. Over here you've got influencers. So the influencers are party people. They're fun, they're exciting, they love to be the center of attention, and their whole mantra in life is get recognition. If they can be on stage, if they can be talking in front of people, if they are storytellers, they're the sort of people that will physically hold on to you until you finish telling the story. And if you try and walk away from an influencer, they will actually pull you back, like literally hold you. A true influencer does not want to let you forget the story, and they will tell you every single detail of that story without fail. Even when you say to them, get to the point, they still need to tell the story because they're very much about entertainment and get recognition. They're wonderful people. We need them in every workplace. We need them in every household. We love to be around them. They can be a little bit slow in getting things done because sometimes they're too focused on being in the moment. They love being in the moment. You could put a bubble around them and they wouldn't even notice. But when it comes to getting things done, sometimes they don't get things done at all, actually, because they're so focused, they'll say yes in the moment. So you'll say, all right, who's going to do this? The influencer will say, yeah, I'll do it, because they love being the center of attention in the moment. But the second they walk out of that room, they're pretty much going to forget about it. A true influencer will pretty much forget what you just said. Down here you have your steadies. Now your steadies are wonderful people. They're generally liked by everybody. They are very easygoing. They much prefer to have, rather with the influencers, they love to be in groups quite often, whereas the steady loves to have a very close-knit interpersonal relationships with people, and they are people-orientated, so they're very much caring, compassionate. They're looking for how do I help people out. They're very good in roles like administrator roles where there's high degree of frustration and angst around the place because they're very steady. They don't get upset easily, whereas the dominants quite often get upset like that. Then you've got your compliant personas again, so they're reflective, but they're task orientated. These guys, again, we need them in life because their whole mantra in life is get it right. If there is a process that is 10 steps, they will do every single step to the letter of the law. If the steps are wrong, they'll change the steps. Whereas a dominant will look at the steps and go, okay, that's my outcome. I'm just going to do what I need to do to get it done, bugger the steps. So these guys are get it done, these guys are get it right, these guys are get along, these guys are get recognition. Now, if you do the actual test on the website, you'll see that there is a quite a detailed report, and I would love a bit of feedback on what you think of that. It is actually a report that I've collated myself around my years of experience in using this model. So it is a really, really cool tool to use. Now, what does happen is that the conflict between these, especially the ones that are diagonally, you've got people here who are very much outgoing, boisterous, need to be centre of attention, and these people much prefer to be working autonomously. You can give them a big pile of paperwork and they'll just chip away at it and they'll get it done. So you can imagine if you have an influencer walk into a compliance workspace, for example, or go to a meeting, the influencer is very much frantic, a true influencer, very frantic, and then the compliance very measured. They're very methodical in their approach. They're list makers, they are chart makers, they are very much into the detail and the planning, whereas these guys are very much in the moment. Don't worry about it, I'll be right, she'll be right. That's their mindset. So then up here you have dominants and steadies. Now again, the steadies are very much, they'll say to you, let me go away and have a think about that and come back to you, whereas the dominants want the answer now. And that frustrates a dominant because they're like, no, tell me now what's going on. Sometimes steadies will actually need a bit of time to sort of debrief or to think about something or to process something, and they're very much an internal processing personality. So they'll rather process it internally. The dominant will say, what's wrong? I don't understand what's wrong. Why are you like this? Why are you not happy? Why are you not smiling? What's happening? And that frustrates the steady. So just know that if you're a dominant, if you come up dominant on the profile, if you are a dominant, that's great. People need you. Most likely to be in leadership positions, normally dominants. But also understand that if you're meeting with a steady, that the steady actually just wants you to like them. They want to get along. They want to know that you actually care about them. So if you've got a steady in your workplace or your family, let them know you care. Let them know that you actually care about them. Because the dominants sometimes are so busy getting things done that they don't stop and think. Now, it doesn't mean the dominants don't care. In actual fact, they care as much as all the other personalities. It's just that they don't have that time necessarily as much or as often to be more reflective because their whole focus is being more active. Your influencers, again, if you've got an influencer in your family, understand that they really mean well and they love being in the moment, and they'll say yes in the moment and they'll agree to things in the moment, but they probably will forget unless you put something around them. Wonderful personalities though, and we need every single one of them. The steadies, again, just remember, sometimes need a bit of a poke and a prod because they do get a little bit too reflective and a little bit too introspective and spend a bit too much time in the head. And the compliance sometimes get stuck planning. They are amazing planners and they love planning, but sometimes they're a little bit hard to get to action. So I hope that little model helps you. I think it's a really good model. We use it a lot in all of our trainings, and it's a great little model that you can actually jump on their website and have a bit of a play with it and see what all of your family members are. Give you something to do for at least half an hour anyway while we're all in lockdown. All right, thanks guys. Thanks for watching.